Are you thinking of traveling to New York City? Well, the number one industry and role in New York, as many of you know, is the finance industry. It is a hot and growing sector. Now, let's do some practice and so you can ace your finance interview. And that's what it comes down to. Can you perform in the actual interview? You may have went to the top finance programs in the world, Wharton, etc., etc. But can you perform in the actual interview? So let's do a practice. So here we got a few options to really practice from financial planner to accountant to investment banker and treasury analyst. And I know you probably want to go into investment banking. That's just a hunch, but something like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and all these investment banks, you want them knocking down your door tomorrow. But to do that, you got to do well in these interviews. So let's start and see how we do. You can choose a random because that's probably more in line with what you will get in the actual interview. So let's go. Timers make it really lifelike, which is super important. So let's simulate this. All right, let's get going.
Hi, let's practice an interview for investment banker. Discuss the ethical considerations in investment banking.
So some ethical considerations to really consider investment banking is obviously kind of trading your portfolio in information asymmetry because a lot of investing is what do I know versus what do other people know, as well as basically timing the market, things like that. So um, they don't call Nancy Pelosi the greatest stock trader of all time for nothing. I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, let's keep moving.
Discuss the differences between high yield and investment grade bonds.
So some differences between high yield and investment grade bonds is um, high yield, I believe, is bonds that uh, you get large returns immediately, not immediately, but more risk. High yield, that's I believe why SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, um, had so many issues because they went and took out a lot of these bonds. Investment grade bonds, I believe, is more long term, kind of stable. That's at least my thoughts on it. Um, but yeah, I'm new to the field, so who knows?
Imagine you are working on financing for a project that suddenly becomes environmentally controversial. How do you proceed?
So basically, if a project becomes financially controversial, you maybe talk with the stakeholders involved and say, hey, these are some of the drawbacks that could possibly happen with going forward on this project. Maybe you make a list of pros and cons and basically get all the stakeholders involved and say, hey, should we move forward with this? Is it more of a regulation that's unnecessary, or is do the benefits of this project outweigh the costs? Is basically the thing that you need to think about if you want to move forward. If not, that's totally cool too. So, yeah.
You're responsible for a pitch to a potential client against strong competition. How do you differentiate your proposal?
You basically think about in the market what's the unique basically selling point of your pitch or whatever you're trying to sell forward. So if you're selling some kind of investment product, you say, hey, this the product here is differentiated from all these other things that already exist on the market in this way or that way, and really being clear on that one or two differentiating points, that should be more than enough really to stand out. So
What drives your passion for working in investment banking?
cash. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously that's one of them, but obviously the the knowledge of how money works. If you think about what money is, it's really just entries into a database. Elon Musk talks about this when he started PayPal, but it's a lot of obviously to understand the interest in finance itself is huge. Interest in sort of the banking process, interesting interest in how banks work, interest in obviously huge interest right now in the crypto markets, Web3, everything, the boom right now. So yeah, it's a confluence of factors that are really driving me to be interested in this field. All right, guys, just finished that. We'll see how I do. I'm not a pro in investment banking, so let's see how it goes. All right, guys, so it came back with a good, solid uh, feedback. So it definitely could work on a few things, just being more organized, more concise in my responses. Super interesting. Um, Gotcha, gotcha. There's obviously some areas of improvement of how I could explain things, but this is why we practice. We got to go back to the drawing board and really improve. And this is how you'll land that role in your dream investment bank, like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, or any of these, JP Morgan. Super, super important to keep practicing over and over again. See you in New York.